right here. Perfect. Yeah, you need to have to translate for them. Yeah.
In the middle?
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming here today. My name is John Harris, and this is my partner, Herbert Hayden, with the firm of Harris & Hayden. 3 of our 4 clients are present here today. They've been identified as Jane Does. There's one appearing remotely, who you can probably see on the screen. Also is Miss Guzman, who's interpreting for us today. This is to announce that earlier today in Los Angeles Superior Court, we filed a complaint against William Smokey Robison Jr. and his spouse, Frances Robinson. The principal causes of action against Mr. Robinson in particular are sexual battery, assault, false imprisonment, gender violence, and creating a hostile work environment. Obviously, these ladies are identified in the lawsuit as Does, Jane Does 1 through 4, to protect their privacy, since the lawsuit involves sexual misconduct of the worst sort. We're seeking damages of $50 million. Obviously, no amount of money can compensate these women for what Mr. Robinson subjected them to. But given the gravity of Mr. Robinson's despicable and reprehensible misconduct that is further detailed in the complaint, this amount is clearly warranted. Our 4 clients have a common thread. They're Hispanic women who were employed as housekeepers by the Robinsons, earning below minimum wage. As low-wage workers in vulnerable positions, they lack the resources and options necessary to protect themselves from sexual assaults throughout their tenure as employees for the Robinsons. Let me briefly summarize each of their individual claims. I repeat, I will not describe the details of the sexual assaults and rapes because they're too graphic and disturbing for this news conference. But you can read them in the complaints that we have provided with many of you today. Let's talk about Jane Doe number 1. She worked for the Robinsons for a little over a year, from January 2023 to February 24. Mr. Robinson first sexually assaulted and raped her in March of 23, as detailed in the complaint. What he would do was summons her to his blue bedroom, which you'll probably be hearing about later on. After having just showered, he would come out of the adjoining bathroom. He sexually assaulted and raped her in this manner 7 times. She quit in February 2024 because she could no longer endure these sexual assaults. Jane Doe number 2. She worked for the Robinsons from May 2014 to February 2020. Smokey Robinson's modus operandi was somewhat different with her. He would ask her to meet him in areas in the home where there were no cameras. There were 2 such places or areas in their Chatsworth home, the garage and the laundry room. When she would meet him at this location, he would immediately begin to sexually assault and rape her, causing her excruciating pain. He sexually assaulted and raped her in this manner 23 times. She was forced to resign because she, too, could no longer endure Mr. Robinson's sexual assaults. Jane Doe number 3. She worked for the Robinsons as a housekeeper from February 2012 to April 2024. Her story is quite similar to the others. Mr. Robinson would call her into his blue bedroom where he would sexually assault and rape her. This occurred approximately 20 times. And like the others, she quit in April of 2024 due to the repeated sexual assaults against her. Jane Doe number 4. She worked the longest as a housekeeper for the Robinsons, from October 2006 to April 2024. He raped her in 3 of their homes, namely the Chatsworth home, the Las Vegas home, and the Bell Canyon homes. He had a preoccupation of fondling her breasts and touching her all over her body against her will. She too quit in April of 2024. The obvious question that one will ask, and I suspect most will, why didn't they report Robinson's criminal misconduct to law enforcement or go public before now? As I said before, these women were all low-wage earners living from paycheck to paycheck. They all feared missing a payday and not being able to pay their rent or buy food for their families. Also, Smokey's Robinson celebrity status intimidated them and all made them feel powerless. I want to add that these 4 women were afraid of shame, familial humiliation, and embarrassment. The stigma that still exists in some cultures that unfortunately blames a rape victim for the assault perpetrated against them. And having to tell their husband and children of these despicable acts against them left them overwhelmed with shame and embarrassment. So throughout their dreadful experiences with Mr. Robinson, all 4 women remained silent because many of them worked at the same time. Too embarrassed to reveal their assaults by Mr. Robinson to each other. Once they broke their silence, an avalanche of emotions began to flow between them. Hence, they're all here today. These courageous 4 women have collectively decided to come forward and share their experiences of being sexually assaulted by Mr. Smokey Robinson and stand up for their right must be stopped. We further believe that these 4 women's testimony as to Mr. Robinson's sexual assaults and battery against each of them will be unassailable and compelling Our clients, these 4 courageous women, want and demand justice for themselves, and the filing of this lawsuit is the first step of their journey to achieve that objective. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Herbert Hayden. I just want to echo some of the sentiments that you just heard from my partner, John Harris. We want to applaud our clients, these 4 women, for the courage that they've demonstrated since they've retained us as their attorneys to bring them justice, to bring to light what they have endured for countless years until they decided that they'd had enough and left the employment of the Robinsons. So with that being said, at this point in time, I'd like to take your questions regarding the case. We'll go right here with the...
I just want to, what brought these women together? Did they share their stories together? Because it sounds like some of the employment overlapped. Did they know what was going on with each of them? And did that then cause them to say, wait a minute, this isn't just happening to me, we can come together as a group?
I don't want to get too much into the particulars of the initiation of the lawsuit. Obviously, the women all worked together. Some of their shifts did overlap, and there was a common thread between them that led to the filing of the lawsuit today. For any further questions, I direct you to our email address, press@harrishayden.com.
Can you talk about Frances Robinson's role in the alleged misconduct, what she did and what she is accused of?
Well, I think that the complaint speaks for it in great detail. We believe she was aware of the misconduct by her husband, Smokey Robison, and that she used their status as well as our clients' reliance on their living wage in order to keep them in check. And so we believe that, among other things, is what brings Ms. Robinson into the case.
Do you expect that they will be filing charges with, will they file complaints with the police as well so that they can investigate this as a criminal matter?
We have not been contacted by the district attorney's office yet. Obviously, we're more than happy to cooperate as best we can.
Does a police report, though, have to be filed by the women in order for the DA to then proceed?
Well, again, no police reports have been filed by our clients as of yet, given their fear of having done so.
But where do you stand on it? Do you want your clients to file a police report now that they've retained you?
I think that's something that we need to discuss with our clients before we cross that path.
Because based on the disturbing allegations, don't you feel like this is something that law enforcement should investigate?
Well, I do think so. Yes, I do.
Are you able to identify Jane Doe 1, 2, 3, and 4? Obviously not their names, but just who's who?
I'll let
No,
Mr. Harris.
we're not inclined to identify them as such and help in that regard. We want to maintain their privacy, and for that reason, we don't want to say who's 1, 2, and 3, and 4. You guys are good at what you do, and it wouldn't take long to figure it out.
Our purpose isn't to identify.
Okay, understood. But we're going to keep them anonymous as possible to ensure their privacy.
You mentioned their status being used against them. Are the women undocumented, and were they specifically threatened with their legal status?
So that is not an allegation that we're making. We believe that the fact that these women are Hispanic, they come from cultures that sort of demonize the accusers of rape and sexual assault, that that stigma was used against them by the Robinson. Obviously, the employer-employee relationship had a big factor in that as well.
But you won't comment on their immigration status?
Not at this time, no.
I do have a specific follow-up to that question. So in the complaint specifically, it says that one Jane Doe.
So, I think that speaks for itself in their hesitancy in making that an issue in this case.
To come forward?
Correct.
Have you been able to obtain any photos or videos of any of these allegations taking place? I know that for one of the women, the allegations took place in two places you said where there weren't cameras, but it sounds like for some of the women took place in places where there are cameras, the blue bedroom.
Yeah, we do have evidence, although we're not sharing it at this point. We will probably later in the proceedings, but we do have evidence of some of the misconduct.
Evidence in the form of videotape?
I'm not going to comment, but we do have evidence.
Have you heard at all from Mr. Robinson himself? Has he responded to the complaint or any of the allegations?
No, we haven't.
Can you clarify the additional does, the 1 through 25, what that refers to?
That's just common practice. If more people come to light, it's just protecting the lawsuit in that regard. If we learn of other people that should be named.
I know that one of the women had worked as long as 2012. Do you believe this behavior has gone on since 2012, long before that? Or?
We have reason to believe that this behavior has existed for many years. And I think, given the allegations, we're fairly confident that he's a serial assaulter.
So were any of these women allegedly threatened? Were they told, don't say anything or else? Were they threatened with physical harm?
They were threatened. I won't go into the details, but they were threatened in various methods by Mr. Robinson.
And in the complaint, there's also the allegation that they weren't paid fairly or properly, correct?
That's correct.
Can you touch on that?
Well, for example, all of them, most of them, I would say, maybe not all of them, they worked 60 hours a week. They never got paid overtime. They were chastised by Miss Robinson if they tried to eat, if they tried to take breaks. And that's part of the allegation. Just the employer-employee relationship, they violated, we have alleged, numerous labor laws.
Mr. Hayden, were they essentially held prisoner in your view?
I don't want to say they were held prisoner, but I do think that they were beholden to the employer-employee relationship with the Robinsons, which left them in a conundrum of what they should do if they want to maintain their livelihood.
And I might add, one of the allegations is false imprisonment. When he was committing these acts, they did not feel free to leave.
And we had a hiccup on our camera. Could you restate what you're asking for in terms of monetary relief? What are you seeking?
Well, $50 million.
And how did you determine that amount?
It's just, we wanted to get his attention. It's a serious matter, and the assaults against these 4 women was horrendous and despicable, hence a big number.
And just to clarify, you're seeking $50 million total or?
Total, not each claim.
Which of the allegations are specifically against his wife? His wife is named.
Yeah, well, all the labor code violations are against her. I'm sorry. All the labor code violations are against her as well.
I think the intentional infliction of
And the
emotional
intentional
distress,
infliction of emotional distress.
hostile work environment as well.
And what can you say about what ultimately made your clients decide to quit and their ability? Was that something they got pushback? Was there ever an NDA involved in any of this work?
I'm unaware of an NDA. They just finally had enough. They couldn't take it anymore. And they just collectively decided to quit.
So are you claiming that Mrs. Robinson, his wife, knew about what was going on?
Well, we believe that there was some knowledge of prior misconduct of a sexual nature against other individuals against him. And we're alleging that she was aware of that and she took no preventive action.
Did any of them, as far as you know, come forward to his wife and say what was happening?
We understand that perhaps there were situations where they were resolved informally, that she knew or should have known of the allegations being made.
So I think with that, we're going to close the press conference now. Thank you.